find out. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so it's the mobile version. Understandable. But what about the other? Oh, okay, yeah. There should be two. It should be the other one. Yeah, perfect. I'm more interested in making sure that this one's good. So I'll keep this here. Perfect. Let's see, streaming. I hope I'm not leaking anything unnecessary. That would be fucking tragic. But Kick says I'm streaming, so we should be fucking good there, boys. We should be money there. Timeline, 40 seconds, blah, 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 blah. Now let me just double check over here. That looks good. That looks good. Now I'm curious. Now that I'm running essentially 3 different streams right now, I'm sending out 3 different streams that I'm on. And since they're being sent out separately based on this plugin, it's supposed to have more strain on your CPU, your GPU, on your fucking Wi-Fi usage, but it seems fine. Like I'll show you guys. 12%. I mean, a whole bunch of fucking RAM being used up. And we all know about the fucking RAM shortage. That shit's going crazy right now. We'll see how that fucking plays out in the future. It's an interesting topic that's going to develop moving forward. Yeah, everything looks fine. I ain't tripping. Feels good too. Feels fucking money. Yeah, that's still good. Let's double check this one. Come on, load it up. Hell yeah. And please use keeping frequency or 4 seconds less per cameras not being set. I don't know what that means. Oh, it says it's poor. Fuck. Well, I don't have the best internet, so what am I gonna do about it? Can't do shit. The other one was doing okay. So we ain't gonna trip, ain't gonna trip. Not even a little bit, guys. Not even a little bit. Oh, what's going on, Megan? Schneider? Hope I pronounced that right. What's going on? But yeah, today I want to get into this video, the crisis nobody is talking about. I think it's an interesting topic about how men and women ideologically are kind of separating themselves. It's crazy to think about. And dead internet theory. I think these are really cool, relevant topics today. And then obviously finish up with some chess like I did the other day. And hopefully this time the desktop works properly. And my mic's good. I think all the settings should be good this time. Let me double see. It seems good. It looks okay. Fingers crossed everything is fine this time. I thought it was going to be fine last time. I thought I ironed out all the kinks. Ended up not being true, you know? Ain't no way a subscription. Hell yeah, I appreciate that though. That's cool. Thank you, Megan. That's sick. I didn't notice that. Badass. That's cool. Great way to start the stream. But yeah, let's rewind this video. Let's get into it.
Angry young men.
Far-right extremists.
Radicalized young men.
Young boys are being radicalized online.
Starting off strong, huh?
If you're a man, doesn't it feel like every woman hates you? The data proves you're right. Young women are way more
Sometimes.
progressive than men at the same age, and more men are
Let me turn on captions. Because I'm not one of those people that I don't really hear everything right all the time. But the captions really saves me, helps me out.
woman hates you. The data proves you're right. Young women are way more progressive than men at the same age, and more men are being painted as becoming radical and far-right extremists. But why is this happening? In this video, we're going to
I mean, let's be realistic. The whole Andrew Tate movement really, really drove that narrative hard. Andrew Tate, Sneeko, all these guys, the alpha males. So, quote unquote alpha males. It makes sense why the public perception would be that way. But also, how common are OnlyFans models, right? I feel like we see it on both sides if you really pay attention.
Follow the data, the incentives, the institutions, and the history to figure out how the gender divide actually happened, why it's accelerating, and what we can do before you grow old and single. Take a look at the collapsing birth rates. A stable society needs 2.1 children per woman just to survive, but the female fertility rate in the United States.
Also, if you guys can't hear, if anything doesn't sound right on stream, please let me know. Put it in the comments so I can fix that. Because I think I know how to navigate it out live on stream to help fix those issues. Fingers crossed, right?
Canada, the UK, France, Germany, and Italy are all sitting at numbers way below replacement. But one thing is clear, this is a crisis, and this is the most concerning data I've ever covered on this channel. This is why. Listen,
brother.
I'll say the quiet part out loud that nobody wants to say. According to the data, the ideological shift is overwhelmingly happening on the female side, not the male side.
But I'm always, I think I'm just too old or something. I'm like, why is anyone married? You tell me, why aren't people married?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the women. The women are.
It's all the women's fault. I don't know. I think it's the men's fault primarily. If you really want to be a man about it, I think you should take 100% accountability and be like, it's our fault. We should do better. But I don't know. I have a very extremist view of things sometimes.
Extremely liberal. No one talks about that, especially after the last election. There's a 45-point difference.
The reason for that is not what you think. Here's where things get interesting and honestly a little bit bizarre, because baked into this narrative of men becoming misogynists and radicalized is a paradox that I'm about to expose to you. The story you always hear is the same. Men are becoming radicalized. Men are falling into extremism. The manosphere is brainwashing young boys. But here's the contradiction.
It was huge
and
during
this is the
COVID's
part
times,
that
for
absolutely nobody wants to acknowledge
Andrew
for some
Tate,
reason.
right?
Men's ideology hasn't actually shifted that much. They've stayed roughly where they were about 10, 15, or even 20 years ago on many of the major points. And even compared to 100, 200, 300, and so on years ago, they're not radically different. A little bit more progressive, but not radically. The study we looked at earlier isn't the only one noticing this caked-in trend. That's not my opinion. This is Pew, Gallup, YouGov, take your pick. So think about this logically. If men stayed the same and women moved, why is the entire culture narrative focused on the male radicalization? Well, because of one thing. There is an agenda. They have made it clear to us. And if they didn't want us to believe that, they wouldn't be saying it. In 2019, the American Psychological Association released an official guideline declaring that traditional masculinity, stoicism, competitiveness, leadership, risk-taking is inherently harmful. The United Nations, through
Wait, let's that again?
Psychological Association released an official guideline declaring that traditional masculinity, stoicism, competitiveness, leadership, risk-taking is inherently harmful.
What? That's great. Competitiveness, masculinity, leadership, risk-taking. How is that inherently harmful?
The United Nations, through the He for She movement, teaches that global gender problems originate primarily from male behavior patterns. Corporate advertising and HR, from Gillette to Nike to Dove, constantly portray men as violent, impulsive, or in need of ideological correction, all the while presenting women as morally superior. And academia,
Okay, I think that's
especially
been
gender
true
studies
for
programs,
sure for a while. What is Raxon World saying? Shoot. Jehovah Witness. You're a Jehovah Witness, man? What's going on? What does that have to do with the video? I'm
since the
confused.
1980s have built its entire framework on the idea that masculinity is a political problem
Explain,
that
brother.
must be dismantled and re-engineered. So the message is clear and coordinated.
Are you saying to be a Jehovah
What
Witness?
is
That's
the
the
Lemon
answer
Law?
to the problem society's facing? Become a Jehovah
The
Witness?
Lemon Law is a law designed to help if
Honestly,
you're having
I
problems.
think that's a way better
across
route
these
than
institutions.
a lot of
Men
the
are
youth
the
is
issue.
taking, for sure.
Masculinity is the
Keep them
problem.
away from
And
degeneracy.
the culture must fix them. This isn't about, hey man, you're becoming too radical and it's hurting society and you need to stop. It's about, we want you to fit into our program. We already socially engineered and radicalized women in the 20th century, and now you just need to get on board with our agenda.
I do think women have been radicalized in the last couple decades for sure. A lot of them have been going to, most people go to universities nowadays are females. Most people getting university degrees are females, especially the higher degree, the higher the percentage of females getting them. It's crazy. And universities are known for being extremely left-wing places. A lot of people get radicalized there. It's just the truth.
Or else, we will label your perfectly rational view of life in the world as radical until you simply get tired of it and throw in the towel. And frankly, from my experience and the first-hand evidence of the internet, men are just not having that. That's why you have the reaction of the manosphere influencers like Andrew Tate and guys like that, who I have to say I have my disagreements with as a practicing Catholic. You stretch a rubber band far enough, eventually it's going to snap back at you.
Yeah.
Now all this starts to make a lot of sense when we look at the actual facts, and the facts are insane. Because the really radical stuff happens at the incentive level, the incentive structures that society has placed for women. The modern economy rewards women for becoming more liberal and punishes them for becoming more traditional. Think about it. Women now earn 60% of bachelor's degrees, 70% of master's degrees, nearly 60% of all PhDs, and universities are basically ideological factories, and their ideology is overwhelmingly progressive. And what exactly do universities incentivize for women? Career-first identity, anti-family framing, don't settle too soon, distrust of men, hyper-individual autonomy, therapy language morality, gender-based activism, secular spirituality over religious commitment. None of this is a conspiracy, it's just the modern incentive system, and I think they would happily admit that to you. And they're all trying to sell this perspective to you that it's all coming from an organic feminist movement. This is all just grassroots, and it's just natural. This is the natural progression of life, but the evidence just becomes overwhelmingly against that. When we look into this with sober eyes, these schools are not neutral playgrounds. According to a Manhattan Institute study, 7 out of 10 students in the US are exposed to at least one critical social justice concept in K-12 classes, even in private and parochial institutes. Another study found that most schools in North America teach left-wing racial ideology as if it were an established fact, even though it's highly disputed. Global parliamentary researchers in Australia concluded that progressive ideology is so deep-seated that most teachers don't even see it as an ideology anymore. And when you look at education schools, the institutions that train teachers, one historian observes that progressivism is the ruling ideology there. Again, none of this comes to us as a surprise, but these studies back it up. In other words, the pipeline for ideology runs from teacher training to curriculum to classroom, all from one source. And if you question it as a teacher, your entire career is at risk in places like Canada. The tenured professor Francis Widdowson was terminated in December 2021 after publicly criticizing the university's indigenization agenda and other ideological positions.
And you are no longer employed at Mount Royal University. What happened?
An Indigenous scholar activist, because I was defending a journalist who had been pushed out of her job for referring to a book title that had a racial epithet in it. And as a result of that, this Indigenous scholar activist by the name of Gabrielle Lindstrom, who now goes by the name Gabrielle Weasel, she mobilized an anonymous student group against me. A whole bunch of her support.
Do we not remember the whole Jordan Peterson situation that propelled him to fame over there in Canada? You know, and he's still facing major issues against the Canadian, not government, but the school he was attending, that he was tenured in. And I heard he's not doing well, you know, with his health. We'll pray for him, for sure.
Murders piled on. I was
He helped
found
me out
to
a
have
lot.
harassed her.
An arbitrator later ruled her firing as disproportionate and unjust, although she never regained her position.
Because a number of Indigenous scholar activists and a trans activist feel unsafe about me making arguments that they don't like, it has been the arbitrator decided that I couldn't return.
This shows a concrete event where ideological nonconformity led to professional consequences in a university setting. But it's not only about firing dissenting voices. Institutions themselves respond to financial and reputational incentives. A UK study found higher education reforms created perverse incentives for universities to shape behaviors and ideologies in order to secure funding and regulatory advantages. This data comes from the Institute of Fiscal Studies. Another paper documents how colleges respond to student aid, loan default penalties, and enrollment benchmarks by shaping admissions and outcomes. And a commentary in University Affairs explains that there's no such thing as pure science. The interests of different parties shape the questions being asked and how incentive structures direct how those questions are answered. Let's put it simply, if a university is rewarded for diversity metrics, for activism, for social justice frameworks, then people inside it will naturally lean that way, because that is how institutional survival, funding, and reputation are built. Now, it really seems to me that the
incentivizing that pathway, it would make sense that people would, you know, naturally go to that pathway, because human beings are creatures of, we seek the path of least resistance a lot of times, which is not always the correct path.
Problem that these ideologues are pushing is not that they have a problem with authoritarianism, but rather that the authoritarianism isn't of their flavor. The system is rigged to ensure one outcome. Go to school, you become progressive. Delay your family, become progressive. Enter corporate HR pipeline, become progressive. It's ironic for a position that always claims women aren't given a chance and given a choice in a patriarchal society, but are they really being given a choice here, or is the outcome completely fixed? And if they were really given the choice, which one do you think they would choose? If we had a university program specifically funded and dedicated to training women to become better wives and better housekeepers, how many women would quit their STEM degrees in order to...
Imagine that someone starts a school like that. I think that'd go viral for sure. I don't think it could ever become a real school. You know, I think the culture has shifted so far in that direction that I think we're probably at a point of no return at how things are going, you know, especially with AI coming in and changing so much for us, and automation in every single regard. It's going to be an interesting future, guys. Interesting.
Pursue that. Personally, from talking to a lot of women in my generation, I think a very high number would. But things only become worse when we look at the male situation. Hey, so before we dive in today, I just want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of the gracious support that this channel has received over the last little while. It's really difficult to find sponsors for videos like this, and so this one is sponsor free. The fact is these videos take weeks and sometimes months to produce each, and I'm currently a one-man team, but luckily the supporters over at buymeacoffee.com/longsoffaith help make these videos possible. So if you like these videos, please consider input on future topics. Cities Corporation entire system. And this isn't speculation, this is hard economic data. Over the last 15 to 20 years, more than 7 million prime age men ages 25 to 54 have disappeared from the workforce in the United States alone. Where exactly are they? They're not in school, they're not in training, they're not in job hunting, and they're not transitioning between careers. They're simply gone from the labor force. But why? Are they all suddenly Bitcoin millionaires and just don't need to work anymore? Are they living off the backs of female slave economy?
Yes.
Oops, wasn't supposed to say that one out loud. And today, the labor force participation rate for men is the lowest it's been since the Great Depression. Among young men, 18 to 29, the numbers are even worse. Unemployment has surged. Not in education, employment, or training. Entire segments of young men are living completely outside the productive economy and the bounds of civilization. And how are they surviving? The data shows disability payments, welfare payments, parental support, random gig scraps, or literally doing nothing at all. Economists call this the male dropout crisis. Sociologists call it the great male opting out. And here's the core point. Women are being ideologically pulled into the system. Men are being economically pushed out of it. That means men aren't getting college indoctrination. Men aren't embedded in corporate HR departments. Men aren't absorbing ideological messaging 8 hours a day. Most men aren't even in the building. So of course men's worldview stays relatively stable. They're not inside.
Most men I know listen to these things that are trying to be done and they're like, fucking gay. I don't want to do that shit, and I'll just move forward. Those are the kind of guys I know. But I mean, I was in the military world for quite a while, so me listening to all this shit, I'm like, fucking gay, get out of my face. You know, I'm not doing any of that bullshit. I hate it.
The institutional machinery that rewrites ideology. Think about other times we've seen that in civilization. Things like this typically lead to some sort of a movement. This raises a question that nobody ever asks, but everyone feels. Why are corporations, school systems, governments, NGOs, pharmaceutical companies, makeup brands, food companies, clothing companies, literally every sector of society obsessed with shaping women's worldviews? Why do they spend billions of dollars every year on campaigns targeted at women? If women are supposedly tired of the patriarchy and finally empowered, then why does every powerful institution on earth treat them like a demographic they have to constantly convince, recruit, affirm, and ideologically maintain? Think about it. Why do governments pour money into women-centric advertising? Why do NGOs frame every issue through women and girls? Why is every corporate marketing department obsessed with female empowerment messaging? Why are pharmaceutical companies spending billions on contraception campaigns, hormone campaigns, fertility control messaging? Why do school boards and universities create bureaucracies around gender equality, women's stuff?
And what's up with the push against motherhood, bro? That's the one that throws me off. So many of these young women in their late 20s, they're just like, hell no, I don't want a kid. I'm like, why? I'm so confused. Or like, especially from my background, Hispanic household, it's so beautiful to give life and be a mother, and strong mothers are rewarded super well. But there's just been this pushback that I've noticed from females in that age group. They're like, don't want a kid. I was like, okay, 33, 35, nah, I don't want a kid. I was like, oh shit, bro. I don't get that. Doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, to each their own. Whatever.
DEI for female students. Why do political parties build entire election strategies around the female vote?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
If women were naturally aligned with these worldviews, wouldn't you think they wouldn't need to be so sold? And you don't have to look any further than the gargantuan numbers they're spending. UN Women's budget was $1.3 billion spent between 2010 and 2020, explicitly on programs to reshape gender norms and shift cultural attitudes. The US government has spent hundreds of millions annually, around $200 to $500 million a year on gender ideology programs abroad. So these are programs outside of the United States.
Tax money is
Over
being spent on, guys.
$4.5 billion spent on women and girls initiatives since 2000. Many of these programs openly target fertility norms, sexual norms, family planning.
Excuse me, healthy ones, you know, promoting physical sports, good careers, things like that. But if it's encouraging abortions and stuff like that, I'd rather not, you know, my government fund those kinds of activities, right? But I think we're cooked regardless.
Attitudes, traditional gender roles, and they describe their goal as changing beliefs and behaviors at scale. Planned Parenthood's advocacy spends over $45 million per year on political campaigns aimed specifically at women. But here's the thing, you don't spend $100 billion convincing someone of something they already supposedly believe. Where big money goes and where return on investment is unclear, the most plausible conclusion is that there's something they value more than short-term money. They're loyal to an ideology. And to see these insane tactics, all you have to do is look at where the money flows. The Rockefellers heavily funded the Women's Bureau, the National Urban League, and various women's reform.
Why is it that the Rockefellers are always mentioned for all these kinds of, you know, negative outcomes in society? For example, right now, this woman thing, or creating the current education system, or the current banking system. They're tied to so many things, it's crazy.
Initiatives in the early 20th century. John D. Rockefeller Jr. personally funded Margaret Sanger, the infamous eugenicist founder of Planned Parenthood, who said things like, more children from the fit, less from the unfit. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and birth control must lead ultimately to a cleaner race. And the most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. This is someone with zero empathy, zero concern for human life, and yet is...
I was double checking on the stream. What did he say?
We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and birth control must lead ultimately to a cleaner race. And the most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. This is someone with zero empathy, zero...
Also, if you look at the stats, it's a lot of black mothers that are committing abortions. Heavily. This woman, I'm pretty sure, is a non-racist based on her comment, and she pushed heavily for it, but yet these black females are getting indoctrinated and pushed into that heavily. Crazy. But they think it's empowerment. But that's what the white woman wants you to think.
concern for human life, and yet is being funded and placed at the center of apparently humanity's mission to enrich our lives. The Rockefeller Foundation openly wrote that lowering birth rates among undesirable groups was a goal. Population control and social engineering were the two biggest research priorities. Now take Alfred Kinsey. They even funded his studies based on sexual assault victims, lots of which being minors, that stripped these cases of their criminal status and used them as data points in his research, seeking to prove how sexual nonconformity is a good thing. His first grant in 1941 was $1,600. Not too much, but by 1947 his project was pulling in about $40,000 to $100,000 a year, which keep in mind is about $600,000 to $1 million in today's currency, among the tens of dozens, if not hundreds, of other like experiments that they're also funding. This money financed massive sex history interviews, some involving minors, and set the stage for what many call the sexual revolution, which I did a whole
Guys, what the fuck? That's our history.
Video on called The Biggest Lie We Ever Bought. If you haven't seen that, definitely go watch it after this video. It goes much more into detail than what I can do here. But the point still stands and the question is still unanswered. If a movement is truly organic, it spreads on its own. But if a movement contradicts human nature, you have to subsidize it. you have to incentivize it, and you have to market it relentlessly. So why do governments and corporations treat women like a population that must be constantly maintained? Because the worldview being sold is not the worldview human nature defaults to. Women are not naturally hostile to family or motherhood or faith or stability. They have to be coaxed away from those things with promises of a hypothetical utopia, career fulfillment, and sexual freedom, lifestyle independence, empowerment through consumption. In other words, if the product was really that good, it would sell itself. It doesn't. So they market it harder, and that's why every institution is obsessed with winning women. And by who? Ironically, men. Perverted men. Ones like Michael Foucault, who advocated for the abolition of the age of consent laws in France. Ones like Alfred Kinsey, who used minor rape victims as data points in his deviant sex agenda. But it gets even darker than that, because when you look at how he got to where—
This is the ideology that women are being manipulated by. These are the people who help steer its cause, right? Think about that.
we are now, you have to go back to the early 20th century, because World War I and II did not just reshape geopolitics, they completely reshaped the culture of the home. See if you can notice the common denominator. Those two wars pulled tens of millions of men out of their houses, out of their communities, and out of their roles as spiritual and moral anchors of the family. And the architects and modernist ideologues behind the sexual revolution that we see today understood exactly what that meant. A home without a man is a home without resistance. While the men were overseas, women became the
I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but there's been interviews of, child predators, and they ask, what made you target certain, children? And a lot of them said that they would look at the household. They would see if there's a strong fatherly presence. They were probably not gonna, go to that house and molest the children. But if they saw that it was vulnerable, that there was no strong manly presence, they're like, oh, that's an easy target. We can go in there, right? Look what's happening. The male presence in households is very, very low.
Primary audience for every new form of messaging: government propaganda, mass advertising, corporate marketing, film, magazines, and emerging psychological techniques. For the first time in history, institutions had unfiltered access to the emotional and social center of the household.
Think about it. Institutional giants promoted a war, sent all the men to the war, then they promoted, oh, we need people to do the jobs the men left, so women come to the workforce. They make a whole bunch of profit at the war because they have women still working the jobs and it's a little bit cheaper. And then the men come back, but the women are still working. They never fully go back. And it just keeps moving forward and it becomes worse and worse throughout time. And the companies make forever profit. Fuck, guys.
And they used it aggressively. This wasn't because women were weak, it's because women are the relational core of civilization. Women shape the moral environment. Women are the gatekeepers of culture to a large extent, and modernists understood this, so it targeted women first. That if it could get women to completely drink their Kool-Aid, that men would eventually follow because they wanted sex. I think they got that wrong, but I'll explain that in a little bit. And you might be saying, Zach, you're such a conspiracy theorist. All of this is just conservative propaganda. Well, then why did advertisers, Hollywood studios, and early PR firms like Edward Bernays openly write about this? He said, if you want to change society, you don't start with the men. You start with the women, because women influence everything downstream. The home, the children, the social expectations, and yes, even the behavior of men. There's a reason that 70 to 80% of all consumer purchasing decisions in North America are made by women. And here's where the manipulation of men comes in, because modernists assume that once women embraced the new worldview, men would eventually follow. Not because the men were ideologically convinced, but because the men wanted to stay in relationship with the women. In other words, if we convert the women, the men will cave. They'll go along with anything if it means sex, companionship, and peace in the home. But we must remember, this isn't based off fact. This is completely theorized, and the thing is, for a while it worked. For several decades, men did silently go along with the new cultural program because it was so incremental. It's like the boiling frog theory. You put a frog in boiling water, it's instantly gonna jump out, but you put it in lukewarm water and slowly turn up the temperature, it'll stay until it cooks to death. But here's the theological reality. Man is not designed to be led by cultural propaganda. He is designed by God to lead by virtue. He is built to reject falsehood even when it costs him something.
I hope he ties this well, bringing God into the picture, because I feel like that's the best answer to these issues. Personally, I am a Christian, so
even when it costs him comfort or approval or intimacy. That's what Christ did on the cross. Christ showed us the true way of life, that we must pursue truth all the way unto crucifixion, all the way until we have nails being driven through our very hands and feet and being crucified on the cross that our persecutors built for us. And that's what we're seeing now. The male opt-out, the manosphere, the backlash, the Christian movement, the reactionaries, they're all waking up. Whether you believe it's misguided.
How do you say that? Fajadala. I don't know. I'm sorry for pronouncing that wrong, probably. How many germs do you grill a day? I have no clue what you're talking about if you want to.
Or not, it's fundamentally the moment when men stop being willing to trade their integrity for acceptance. And once the sex is no longer enough to make men submit to the propaganda, the whole system starts to fall apart naturally. Men aren't rejecting women, they're rejecting the ideological system that hijacked women. And the bad news to all the evil people behind this is that they will simply...
I think that is a huge point. We're not rejecting the women, we're rejecting the ideology that they subscribe to. Because I'm a big fan of women, but I'll talk to a lot of these girls, and I don't like the way they think, bro. Honestly, it's trash.
Never win this battle because they fundamentally misunderstand human nature, and that's because they philosophically reject the creator of human nature. They reject the blueprint itself, and that's why they can't succeed. They don't understand human nature because they don't believe it was created. To them, people are raw material, pliable, programmable, and infinitely malleable. And if you...
I have to Google this. Germination, which is brown. I am very germable, actually. Oh yeah, I am beginning to grow. I am only 24, so statistically I'm gonna make it to like 75. That's the average. So I still have 2/3 of my life to live. 66% left to germinate. So, I'd say yes.
If you just tweak the right knobs on the dashboard of society, you will get the result that you want, and you will control the society the way you want. And that's why their system is already cracking. Not because of some heroic rebellion, not because of a political movement, but because they tried to build a civilization on top of a blueprint that they don't even believe exists. You can't rewire men to stop being men. You can't rewire women to stop being women. You can't replace family with ideology. You can't replace virtue with dopamine. You can't replace meaning with activism. There's no version of reality where that works long term. And look, let's be honest, some people on the reactionary side see this collapse too. Like the Andrew Tates of the world, the manosphere guys, the black pill, the red pill, whatever pill movements. Even I as a Catholic can admit that they get some things right about the symptomology of the problem. But their conclusion is basically fine. Burn it down. Don't marry. Don't commit. Don't care. Stack cash. Sleep around and detach.
Are you married now? I would never bring the state into my affairs. I don't chase women, Michael. I absorb.
Neither.
But guys, I must say, this is not the Catholic.
I tried everything. Coffee, Pomodoro, and binaural beats, but nothing stuck.
This is not the Christian. This is not the Christ-like approach. In fact, this whole video we spent discussing a lot of the sins of women and how women have fallen for the propaganda and drank the Kool-Aid and the sin of Eve. Woman's fundamental flaw, which is rejecting authority and wanting to be deviant. And the ideologues and the architects of the sexual revolution understood that deeply, and they exploited that. But we haven't gotten to the sin of men. The sin of men is simply inactivity. It's passivity. It's just sitting by and watching and complaining and detaching.
Yo, is he calling us out right now?
And becoming materialistic. That is the sin of Adam. Think about this. The fall would have never happened if Adam caught Eve in the act of eating the fruit and said, Eve, don't do this. This is wrong. Obey me. But in fact, he didn't do that. He just sat by, and that's why the fall of man happened. It wasn't just Eve. It was a dual effort. It was a combined effort because the leadership that Eve was under failed its course. I understand that all of us feel like this is wrong and that we want to do something about it, but we have to analyze what moral groundwork do we even stand on to be able to assert morality, to be able to assert ethics. Because under an atheist, materialistic worldview, unfortunately, we're a bunch of chaos, we're a bunch of particles clashing into each other in space, and knowledge is actually impossible. And in that system, tyranny is the only form of government that can ever logically work. Because Catholicism was the first framework that didn't ask me to pretend the world was better than it is, or worse than it is. It just told the truth. And here's the truth of every ideology, from the progressive engineers to the manosphere influencers, that they keep missing. Men and women aren't arbitrary social hierarchical categories. They're part of a design that you can't rewrite without breaking everything built on top of it. You can fight nature for a little while. You can even force people to act against themselves for a generation or two, maybe 3 or 4, but eventually reality snaps back like a rubber band that you can't break. Every artificial system collapses under its own weight. Every ideology that rejects the creator ends up colliding with creation itself. That's why the Bible tells us that the wisdom of man will ultimately be made foolish in the eyes of God. Church attendance amongst young adults has seen its first spike in decades. Google searches for traditional marriage, Catholic mass, and Orthodox theology are at 10-year highs. And for the first time ever, over 60% of Gen Z says that modern dating culture is broken, hopeless, or anti-human. But guys, we can't lose hope. So no, I'm not black-pilled, I'm not white-pilled, I'm not any color-coded internet philosophy. I'm simply Catholic. I believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and he is the author of life itself. The people trying to reshape humanity are standing on sand. They don't even have the tools to assert to you that what you're doing is right or wrong, or that Catholicism is false. They don't even accept that truth exists. But the church, the thing that has outlasted empires, revolutions, and ideologies, and whole civilizations for 2,000 years, that is built on rock. Not because the institution is flawless, but because the anthropology is. And that's why I'm not discouraged. And the church, the one institution on this earth that is built by the author of that truth, isn't going anywhere. The gates of hell shall not prevail against the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. Not now, and not ever. Until next time, this is...
Honestly, great video by the guy. I need to...
Zach with lungs of...
hit the latrine real quick, use the restroom. I'll be right back. Oh, I don't have one for the mobile viewers. No. Can I make one real quick? Can. Let's see. Let's play some copyrighted music because we don't care about Motley Crue. Feeling it. How's Kick doing? Yeah, these things got deleted. I'm not able to see the preview on it. Let's go to game scene so you guys can see it with me. And you guys as well. Yeah, I can't see preview. I haven't even got any freaking viewers anyway. So what's the point? Yeah, this should be live. Okay, yeah, it works. Barbecue chicken, boys, with barbecue chicken. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, now let's go into the dead internet theory. I've watched this video once before, but it was a while ago. And I like his videos a lot.
Political. I think we're gonna go.
I know he puts a lot of effort into his videos, you can tell. It's very well edited. I like channels like that you can tell they put a lot of, their heart and soul into this. Mute now. Also, can you guys hear everything right? I'm pretty sure you guys can. None of the comments said anything about it, but hopefully it's all good. Adux. What's going on, bro? What does that emoji mean? What does that mean, bro? What does that mean? I don't know what you're trying to say.
Welcome back. We bring you breaking news from OpenAI's live event.
A new version of ChatGPT 4, that's their latest and greatest model.
This new experience will be available to over 1 billion users.
I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
You said that this is a time for soul searching in social media businesses, and you were part of building the largest one.
I feel tremendous guilt. It is eroding the core foundations of how people behave by and between each other.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant
the guys
harm
creating
to the world.
Are
I
concerned.
think if this technology goes wrong,
seriously
it can go
concerned.
quite wrong.
An anomaly on Capitol Hill. Private tech CEOs
Do you guys think we're cooked or no?
asking for more government regulation. It's usually the other way around.
I never got to use that. I'm a Gen Z kid.
If you're old enough to remember a time before the internet, you remember just how momentous the establishment of the World Wide Web really was. Within a generation, your digital life became more important
You guys
than
are
your
comfortable
physical
sharing
one.
that, you know?
Your digital reputation was all that
I'd
mattered.
like to know. Get a feel
But then,
for the audience.
around 8 years ago, the internet died. At
What you
least, this is the contention of the so-called dead internet conspiracy theory. It sounded crazy at first, but I'm a believer now. The killer? Artificial intelligence.
Find out these alpha pouches. I haven't put in a Zenachino in a
Most
while.
analyses of the
They
dead
say these are
internet
pretty
theory
good
trace
for
back
focus
to
and stuff.
this
Let's
one
see.
thread on the
Let's see what's
Agora
up.
Roads Macintosh Cafe forum, originally compiled by several anonymous users in the January of 2021. It's a mishmash of anecdote, conspiracy, and classically offensive
a good
4chan
conspiracy.
language that claims that the internet died sometime around 2016.
Damn.
Its most bombastic claim is that, quote, the US government is engaging in an artificial intelligence-powered gaslighting of the entire world population.
I wouldn't put it past them.
End quote. The method? AI-powered bots that have subtly subverted and steered culture towards nefarious
I think other
ends.
countries are doing it as well, though.
It would be
Russia,
impossible
China,
to
you don't think they
validate
have
the
bots?
most paranoid claims in the post, but others now seem obviously, viscerally true. The internet does feel empty now, doesn't it?
It is not the same. That is
Dead.
true.
Nothing to see.
I remember
Nothing
hopping
to
on
do.
YouTube, and the new page. What was it called? I forgot what it was called, but you would just search, no subscribers, nothing. And you'd get new things that seemed so engaging, but everything was also kind of new. Everything has been played out a lot on social media, so I don't know. But it does not feel the same. That is a fact. The internet does not feel like it used to.
The
And
internet may seem
worse.
gigantic,
For worse.
but it's like a hot air balloon. Nothing inside. This progenitor of a famous conspiracy theory doesn't sound so crazy anymore. It was just posted too early. If it was written after the Cambrian explosion of generative AI in our information ecosystem, it may have even been celebrated as a great cultural insight. While an Illuminati-style global gaslighting campaign still seems unlikely, the evidence that the
I don't know.
internet may have slipped out of
I
human
think anything is
control
possible.
is everywhere. Simply put, most website visitors are not humans. In 2016, the security firm Imperva released a report that found that bots were responsible for over half of all web traffic. The report
You guys ever been on X? Most of that is bots. Straight bots. That's why I don't hop on there no more. I used to like X a lot, especially when Elon first bought it, and it was like, oh yeah, democracy, you know, free speech and everything. And now it's like, bro, it's all bots. I don't like it.
also found that every third visit to any website on the internet is probably from a malicious attack bot. GitHub says AI helps their programmers write up to 30% of their code. The company Cybra estimated that before Elon Musk took over, between 11 and 13% of Twitter accounts were bots and were responsible for a disproportionate amount of the content. YouTube
Crazy.
engineers coined the term the inversion to describe the looming point at which fake views would surpass real ones. Google is currently worried that its world-changing search algorithm will drown in the current tidal wave of AI-generated content and become far less useful, if at all. You see examples of these takeovers already happening on Facebook, where images of a crustacean-adjacent Jesus Christ have been going viral and garnering hundreds of millions of engagements.
Why?
The comments on these posts leave little room for hope that the internet can be revived.
I think the internet was terminally ill before ChatGPT was announced and released. I think the biggest watershed moment when you look at this sort of theory of the decaying internet is the release of algorithmic feeds. I think that algorithmic
What do you
ranking
mean?
systems that are AI driven really set the stage for just endless worthless pieces of content and sort of just the whole internet to be optimized in the most absurd ways.
But the internet is not just
Nothing but
social
slop.
media, even if it feels that way,
Nothing but
and the bots have
trash.
infiltrated there too. You can buy AI-generated poetry online. You can watch films with silicon screenwriters. You can listen to podcasts with dead celebrities. You can read the news reported by your favorite neural network spawn. You can be unsettled by the first music video generated via artificial brain. Generative AI, like ChatGPT, is the reason why, if the internet isn't dead and devoid of people already, it soon will be. A blurry landscape of AI and human interaction, as one paper calls it. Shrimp Jesus is obviously fake.
Shrimp Jesus.
Other content isn't so obvious. Fake images routinely fool millions of people and make headlines.
That's the scary thing, guys. I don't really trust anything anymore.
Creates what's
I don't know what's artificial and what's
AI
not.
creations force the hands of platforms and governments
It's ridiculous.
alike. You can easily create entirely fake subreddits where every post and comment and reply is AI generated. You can create an infinite amount of music without an ounce of human creativity. This live stream of generative heavy metal music has been playing non-stop since 2019. Even an internet-enabled job like Instagram influencing is trivially easy to emulate. And if any of these recent phenomena are still in the uncanny valley for you and you think you can identify them, soon you won't be able to. Very soon. If I were to add anything to dead internet theory, it would be that the public release of ChatGPT specifically was a watershed moment, and not a positive.
It did change the culture.
Its release
forever.
and record-breaking
There's no
adoption
denying
both
that.
created enormous economic incentive for every knowledge work
I
industry
still
on
go to
Earth
school,
to create
right?
and incorporate generative AI
Schools
into
try to
their
work
businesses, turbocharging the
against
technology,
AI, but
and allowed
they really
anyone
can't.
with any intention.
There was one school I used to go to, National University. They openly told us, they're like, if you submit a document that's all AI and you actually like proofread it, took out the obvious things, and we try to press you for it, we can't really determine that it's AI or not. So it's your word against ours. I was like, okay, so I can cheat. That's basically what you're saying. It was crazy. I was like, all right, whatever.
Good or bad,
What are they going to do about it
create
realistically? They're
bottomless
cooked.
pits of lifeless digital corpses, at scale, for next to nothing. According to Timothy Shoup of the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies,
Copenhagen.
quote, in the scenario where
It's on Copenhagen right now,
ChatGPT
boy.
gets loose, the internet would be completely unrecognizable, end quote. And in such a scenario, Shoup says,
Right,
99 to
GPT-5, no?
99.9% of online
Insane.
content might be AI generated by 2025.
We're in 2026, brother.
Unfortunately, this is the scenario we're living in.
It's crazy.
That's just months from now. The internet died not because people can be fooled by manipulated media. That's always been true. It died because synthetic media, like that created by Sora, ChatGPT, DALL-E, Midjourney, and others, can emulate human creativity at a scope and scale that is impossible for humans to engage with or sift through. After its initial release, ChatGPT was creating more synthetic text for its users than appears in all physical books ever written every 2 weeks.
Nice.
We've already prognosticated the tremendous
That was
effect
years
on
ago,
the knowledge work
guys.
landscape.
It's only gotten
We've
worse.
already seen an explosion of synthetic media that targets our most vulnerable.
Gotta keep in mind,
All of this technology,
this data's not
backed
up to
by
date.
huge economic
It's
incentive,
worse.
is only going to get better and faster and less
It's gonna keep
identifiable.
accelerating.
It will get to the point where not even your own friends and family will be able to tell the difference between you
They already
and
don't,
your
honestly.
synthetic.
Especially if
That's
they're
why
older.
Scarlett Johansson, who
Yeah.
famously voiced an AI in the movie Her, had to pursue legal action against OpenAI, the developer of ChatGPT. They used a simulacrum of Johansson's voice in their 4.0 model, even after she explicitly declined involvement.
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece. I mean, you'll definitely stand out.
Everyone thought it was her. No wonder so many of us have turned off our lights in the dark forest internet. It's a wilderness of bots and unsettlingly human text and deepfakes and bad actors. We stay siloed in our Discords and Slacks and Substacks and podcast forums and newsletters because the internet is not only dead, it is dark and full of terrors. What was first conceived
I don't know
as a
about that. Dark and
conspiracy
full of
theory
terrors is
by
a little
world governments
dramatic.
to control the population came true. Not because
But actually, I think most of the traffic on the internet is dark web traffic, so he might have a point. He might have a point.
DARPA or the CIA deemed it so, but because some tech
I want to
bros
get
in
into
California
that. DARPA and the
recklessly released
CIA.
a self-improving, revolutionary, universally applicable technology to hundreds of millions of people without our consent.
The goal of the internet was to connect the world in this sort of beautiful vision of building a more interconnected society, which would theoretically be a beautiful and amazing thing. And I think where we went wrong is when it started to get warped by this really hyper-capitalist tech environment that we live in. And so you started to
what's
see
going to
these
happen? It's a company.
giant social
They
media
want profit. They're going
companies
to push for
come
profit.
and disrupt
So we
things. Now we're in
incentivize,
sort of the
obviously,
natural
that's what
endpoint of
they're
that,
gonna do.
where they've pushed so hard into the algorithmic world that everything has to be optimized to the point that everything's just going to be AI generated garbage, basically feeding each other.
Losing the internet to bots and synthetic media is more consequential than losing the fun of their early web. It's an epistemological threat. As Nina Schick writes in Deepfakes, The Coming Infocalypse, it's an old Russian disinformation tactic to not just flood an information ecosystem with false information, but with information generally. Once there is too much noise in the signal, people start to tune out. They trust media less and less, as sorting and sifting through it all requires more and more cognitive effort. They don't engage as much in the democratic process. They turn towards strongmen. They turn towards conspiracy. They turn against expertise and facts and authority when nothing is true or cannot be judged to be so. That it's dangerous. That's because it is. According to an observatory report from the Europol Innovation Lab, quote, "Today, threat actors are using disinformation campaigns and deepfake content to misinform the public about events, to influence politics and elections, to contribute to fraud, and to manipulate shareholders. Many organizations have now begun to see deepfakes as an even bigger potential risk than identity theft."
Crazy.
End quote.
And that's huge. It's
A
already
dead
a huge
internet
issue.
makes it easier to harass, extort, create non-consensual pornography, disrupt financial markets.
Think about all the individuals who are not caught up to date, who aren't as savvy as people that are on the internet 24/7. There's so many of the youth that know how to work this technology, will use it to scam so many people and make bank. I mean, the crypto scammers. You guys ever gotten into that? These kids make so much money scamming people. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. I don't know if he's gonna make anything. I think he drove his point. And it's fucking dead. It's mostly bots. If you guys have realized this, depending on what social medias you guys use, you've probably noticed that it's fucking all bots. It's all trash. No views, cool. This one. Big chillin' or not? Yeah. Figures. It mostly died out by now. That's all good. That's not bad for like our second official stream. I'll mess with it. I'll mess with it. So should we get into the chess, guys? Last time, I ended up I left off at, I think I was 2 ELO points away from, 900 on Rapid. See, 2 points away. We might be able to clutch up a win. I don't know. We might be able to clutch up a win. If you guys saw the one from yesterday, it was a crazy one. I shouldn't have won it, but I clutched up at the end, didn't give up, and we won. Let's play some music. Let's play some chess, huh? Alright. Pretty sure the people on mobile can see it well enough, yeah. 30 minutes. Let's see. Let's not get nervous this time. I get to be white, cool. Okay, it's not that bad. If I lose, I only lose 8 points. Bam, bam. The Scotch, I believe it's called. Yeah, the Scotch game. I like this one. I've been playing it a lot recently. I'm gonna Elo, so I'm gonna keep playing it. Come on, brother. It's interesting. I don't think I've had this. Interesting. I don't know how to respond to this. I haven't faced it before. Do I take? Then he just brings out his queen, and then I leave the center open. I say I bring this bad boy out here. Yeah, I like that. And then if I want to castle quickly, I can just bring out, you know, light squared bishop. Or let's see what he's thinking though. I don't know what his plan is. I don't know if I agree with that, because now I can just take this, and if you take, I take here. Or am I doing this wrong? Definitely a possibility. Right. What can he do? He can attack here, 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 and here, which I'm not worried about any of them, honestly. I just want to take that pawn. I feel like he's giving it to me. Oh. Let's see. We'll see if this is a terrible mistake soon. But now, here's the thing. How do I respond to this? Actually, I think I know how to respond to this. I think so. What I'm thinking is I bring out the light squared bishop, depending on what he answers with, if it's possible, and then I just castle immediately. Then I don't have to think about the next couple moves that much. Because even if he does that, I'm not concerned at all. Actually, now that I think about it, why not? Right? Easy development if he takes. He or she. Looks like a he. Oh. We're assuming genders again. It's a he. It's a he. Has to be. Come on, bro. Let's see what you got. Gotta relax and feel a little bit cocky. Maybe it's the alpha pouch. It's got me too locked in. It's got me too locked in. That's what it's doing. Let's see if we can. Yeah, switch it up a little bit. I'll put copyrighted music, bro. Hopefully that doesn't, you know, keep my development. ease development, I think. Maybe he's got a master plan that I'm not seeing. But I like this. I'm a castle right there, and I want to be super defended for everything goes according to plan. I wasn't expecting that. I guess he's isolating that pawn. Stacked pawns. If he ever moves that fucking queen, I'm putting that knight right there and getting that fork right here. Placing this knight right here. That'd be a good fork. Damn, it's like he was watching the stream. Maybe he was. Gotta be careful. Oh, let's get this. What could he go for? What could he go for? What good moves does he have? None. Actually, yes. I'm gonna bring up that pawn. Okay, I have an idea. Depending on what he does, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up this pawn, this one. I'm gonna bring it forward. I'll bring out the queen to a4, because then I'm hitting this knight. And if he moves the knight, I have the bishop, depending on where he goes. And then I get to bring out my queen, and then I put my rook right there, eyeing the other queen. Killer. Come on, bro. Yeah, he's thinking hard on this one, boys. Hard. I feel like it's the one. This might be the one. This might be the game. Hopefully it is the game. Come on. Oh, dude, he's taking forever. What is he thinking about? Nice. This song is a banger. It's a certified banger. Ooh. Well, now I can just come here. Now you're cooked. I think he's cooked, boys. He's cooked. Come on, we're up 1 point in material. Only down 5 points in elo. Girls, girls. Okay, so we have to do is we bring out the rook first, because what I wanted to do, I want to bring out the bishop so I can attack here, but if I do that, he can just take. Because if I eat, he eats here. Can't do that. Can't allow that to happen. Can I allow this to happen? Yeah, because then you're going over there. I don't mind it. Yup. Then we can come over. Yeah, no. Bring this bad boy over. I'm gonna bring this up. Boom, boom. I was counting on that. Now I can come here. Not bad. It's not terrible. Perfect. Take him. Oh, yeah. It's not terrible, honestly. If you think about it. If we look at the position objectively, I don't think I'm in a terrible position right now. I'm actually quite content. I just found a killer one. I don't even have to attack, but... Am I seeing this wrong? Am I seeing this wrong? Forking these guys, take here, I take here. Or they move the queen where I have no clue. But I'm taking this guy if they move the queen. And if he takes there, I take there and it's checkmate. Oh my god. No way, no way. Let's go. I think. I might have calculated this wrong. Who knows? Famous last words. I need this dub. I need this dub. Come on. Let's go. I want to see this. What is your reaction going to be, man? What is your reaction? Does he have checkmate somehow that I'm not seeing? I don't think so. I think he's fucked. I'll do that trade any day. You have to take. I go here. Where do you go? Where do you go? You can't go anywhere. Turn up a little bit. Where? Oh, you just made it death. That's what you just did. I'm very sad that there's no one here. Oh, I don't think there's anyone live right now. Is there? Double check. Oh, what? Why are you doing this? I wanted to destroy you.
You found a nice tactic that game. You're cooking. Let's review.
I'm cooking. Hey, yo, let's go. One blunder. And he didn't take advantage. I was down 3 points. Jesus. Yeah, I can't see. Really? If anyone is live right now. Let's see. No, 0. It's been a while already. On kick. Incredible. I can see it now. I've had 0 engagement. Cool. Mande! Yes, please. Yeah. Cool. I'll do the game review later. That was a good game.
You found a nice tactic that game. You're cooking. Let's review.
Yeah, I'll review this later. I gotta eat some food. Mom made some tamales. You know. Appreciate you guys. It was I actually had some chat engagement this time, which is cool. Never had that before. It's a little bit random, but it was cool to mess around with, you know. Yeah, I think that's it. Appreciate you. Tune into the next one.